We're back. We are back. We've got a new setup, but the streams are going to be back to daily streams, and I am absolutely buzzing for it. There's some of you in the chat already. I'm surprised anyone is back here. I am genuinely surprised and grateful that people are back. New environment. Unfortunately, it is the same old PC, so we'll see how that goes. So far, I'll tell you what though, the PC has been on all day. It's alive. It is alive. Brexit Outcast podcast. George Christodoulou, what a legend. Vilgot, welcome. SS9, Ethan Udall. It's the legends. The legends have returned. Devin, good to see you. Connor, Shadowclaw. Oh, it's good. It has been a while. It's been a few months. I actually I lost track of just how long it had actually been since we've gone live. But here we are. We are back. And these are literally going to be every single day apart from Fridays. Every day, 6:30 p.m. UK time, apart from Fridays, we will be here. We'll be talking about Arsenal mainly, but obviously we'll talk about other football topics as well. And also, we'll be going live later in the evening, not today, but in the future. I'm going to be streaming from like 10 p.m. till midnight, playing video games and just chilling and chatting to you. So lots of changes. Obviously now there's no bed in the background, so I can just go live in the evening when I want to, which is amazing. Can't wait for Guess the Gooner. Guess the Gooner is back. VV Vlad is back as well. What a goat. Trevor, London is red, Arsenal is great. I'm good, thank you. Jake Madderford. Oh God, it's been a while. It has been a while, but look, let's crack on. Let's crack on. Is 6:30 the new start time for the daily streams? Yes, 6:30 p.m. UK time is the new start time for the streams. Where did you sit on Sunday? I was in Block M. So kind of top left corner. It wasn't too bad. It was, to be fair, that was from the ballot. So I won't say no to it. Kieran's back as well. Smithy, hello. But yeah, I mean, let's talk about Sunday to start with, right? What a day. What a game it was. The atmosphere. People have questioned the atmosphere at the Emirates this season. It was back. It was back to its best. And other than the start of the first half, obviously, at the start of the second half, we had that blow at the end of the first half where, I won't lie, that took the wind out of everyone's sails big time. And then the start of the second half, Liverpool started finding their feet a little bit. But after that, it was just brilliant. The dog has had a long day. Look at this. Now the dog can just lie there in peace as well. Bless her. We're fighting for this title. We are. Arsenal for life. I'm very well, thank you. Thomas Willis, good to see you. But yeah, obviously the win was amazing. The celebrations were amazing. Like, I'll never understand this thing about celebrating. And I was on a podcast yesterday called the Sportsman Podcast. You can go and check it out if you want. And we were talking about it. And I was saying, like, because people say, oh, well, you haven't won the title. You haven't won anything. Why are you celebrating like you've won the title? And it's like, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't even matter. It does. Obviously, it does matter. But if we don't go and win the title, I'm still not going to forget Sunday. I'll still have that memory. I'll still have that feeling. In the same way that the 97th minute winner against Bournemouth last season, I was there. It was limbs. I was hugging people I didn't know. And it meant nothing. In the end, that goal meant nothing. But I still have that feeling. I still have that memory. And it's an amazing memory. So, George Christodoulou, loved the pod earlier. Really interesting. There you go. I'm glad you enjoyed it. So yeah, it's a weird one that I don't really understand, other than simple bitterness. It is simple. It's bitterness from Carragher and Neville and players really that got bullied in their career by Arsenal. And then the likes of Richard Keys, who is just... Richard Keys is top 10 worst human beings on the earth, I would argue. A gluttonous pig of a man with a horrible history. And for him to sit there and spend like 5 minutes solid talking about Arsenal celebrations, I just find it pathetic. And there was so much from that game to talk about. And none of them did. Carragher last night, to be fair, on Monday Night Football, did go into depth with analysis, and that was decent. But it shouldn't take a day. It shouldn't take people working at Sky preparing a thing for him to present to get that sort of analysis. Luke Randall, thank you. Thank you. Good to see you. Optical Dream says, with that halfway point in the season, have some teams surprised you this season? Have some teams? Yeah, massively. Massively. Villa actually haven't surprised me massively. I think before the season, I predicted they were going to come 5th, but I have still been impressed with the way that they've done it. Spurs have impressed me and surprised me, to be fair. Luton, early in the season, I genuinely thought it could be one of the worst Premier League campaigns ever. Nowhere near it. They're unbelievably good. Not unbelievably good, unbelievably impressive. Better than I thought they'd be. Who else is it? Who else is it? Wolves, considering the season that they had last season, and considering the points that they should really have compared to the points they've actually got because of VAR, they'd be pushing top 6 or 7, which is really impressive. So yeah, quite a few teams surprised me. West Ham as well. The position they are in the league is quite surprising. Vivi Vlad said Luton and Wolves have surprised me. Yeah, with the pace Luton are going, is 14th a realistic finish? Yeah, possibly. If you consider, I think Crystal Palace are in real trouble, especially Elise is going to be out for a couple of months, and I can see, it looks like it's getting a bit toxic already, and I can see it going the way that it did a little bit with Leicester. Where with Leicester, you were like, they'll click into gear. They'll get the points eventually. They've got too much talent to go down. And it's like, yeah, but that talent we're already looking at moving on. Maddison already knew he was going to move. Same with Harvey Barnes and a load of other players. So I look at them and like Eze, probably looking to move in the summer. Elise, definitely. Guehi, probably. So I think Palace are going to be in real trouble. Brentford are interesting because they're only 3 points above the relegation spot. But I do think they'll come good. I don't know when Mbeumo's back, but once they've got Mbeumo and Tony, I think they'll be fine. I actually was quite impressed by them against City last night. And then you've got Forest and Everton, who in theory are both due another 10-point deduction at least. So, and Sheffield and Burnley are going to be nowhere near it. So 14th for Luton is, probably the best that they can expect, but would be an unbelievable achievement if they did do it. SAS does stuff. Good to see you back. Good to see you. Miles Cowling as well. Never thought I'd see the day of the return. We are here, and we are here for good. We are here every day apart from Fridays. 6:30. I'm buzzing. I'm so buzzing to be back. I can't even tell you. If you're watching on TikTok, I apologize that I'm ignoring you. If you want to get in the chat on YouTube, the link is in my bio on TikTok to come over to the YouTube chat. Do you think realistically we finish 3rd? Or do you think we will have a great last part of the season and get 2nd and maybe 1st? I think we finish 2nd. If I'm just being purely logical and not, going with my heart, I think we come 2nd. I think City win it. I think we come 2nd and Liverpool come 3rd. I think Liverpool haven't actually... It is difficult, right? Liverpool have been very impressive, but there have been games where they've got away with it. And I think Sunday kind of showed that we are a better team than them. And over the course of the rest of the season, I think that will play out. Odds on the stream crashing. Look, I'm hoping it's going to survive. I haven't changed the PC at all, but it's been on all day and it's alive. So we might be all right. We might be all right. Young Star and Young Tar. I always pronounce it wrong. You're back and I'm still pronouncing it wrong. But it is good to see you back. Sonny, thoughts on Goldbridge's response on Garrett? I think Goldbridge's response on Garrett's been taken a little bit, not out of context, because the context is there because he says it, but I think in his own head, he's imagining him and a bunch of presumably, I don't know how Goldbridge is, late 40s, early 50s maybe. He's imagining him and his mates that he goes down to the pub with doing what Tom Garrett did. And he finds the idea of that disgusting or whatever. I don't think he just finds the general idea of what Tom did that disgusting. But it's a weird one to try and talk about, right? Because it is unusual. Yeah, well, that video is unusual. But equally, there's nothing wrong with it, and why people wanted it to get cancelled, I don't know. Type of dog in the background. She is a cross between a Pomeranian a Yorkshire Terrier, and a Bichon Frise, or a Shih Tzu, something like that. There's a fair amount of different dogs in her. How long are the streams going to be? 45 minutes to an hour. It'll always be done by 7:30. And then in the future, I'll also go live again at 10 p.m. kind of playing FIFA and video games and just chilling and chatting as well. So it's going to be good. Do you know Tom? Have you met him? Just curious. Yeah, I was on last season. I was on pitch side. I don't know, 3 or 4 times, and met him. He's a really, really sound guy. To be fair, don't have a bad word to say about him. Obviously, his online persona is a bit more brash and a bit more he's made videos about me, which haven't been the most pleasant, but in person, he's cool. How long do you think the 9 in 9 will take? The 9 in 9 challenge, if you're not familiar, is an ongoing battle that I have on TikTok and Instagram. How long do I think? Well, the 8 in 8 challenge took me 31 days. So I think with 9 in 9, my realistic target is to do it in less than 45 days. And we're on day 16 so far. So we'll see. Why on Saturday Social do people put so many Spurs defenders and goalkeeper in the best 11? They've conceded so many goals. Thoughts? I can actually tell you that very easily. It's because the way that Spurs defend makes the players look better than they are, because so much of it is last-ditch defending. The amount of times that Mickey van der Ven made some unbelievable covering runs and tackles in that game against Everton makes him look brilliant. Same with Vicario. The amount of saves he has to make makes him look good. The issue with that is that they do concede a lot of goals. Spurs have conceded more goals than Manchester United. Vicario has conceded more goals than Onana, has kept less clean sheets than Onana. But that completely goes under the radar, and it's because of the style of defending that they have, where when they get it right, it's really impressive. But actually, it's not sustainable. And it's a bit it's not quite like us last year, because our defensive record was really good last year. But there were a lot more occasions last season where we would get done on the break and we'd have to do something special to save it. They're kind of in that position. What's for dinner tonight? I actually just had it. It was lovely. It was a chicken burger, chicken and halloumi burger with some vegetables and some potato wedges. But the chicken's done in the Nando's medium garlic sauce on a ciabatta roll with garlic butter. Unbelievable. Do you think want to be / will be on Saturday Social? Maybe one day. I think at the moment they get massive names on there, so I wouldn't expect to be on it anytime soon. But you never know. The thing is, right, I'm surprised that some of the... I saw that clip of Chris MD on Saturday Social from the weekend where he had his, a start bench sell between Mainu, Miley, and who was the third one? Mainu, Miley, and I can't remember who the third one was. But basically, he put Mainu as the sell because he'd never seen him play. And Bradley, that was it, Connor Bradley, right? So Chris MD put Mainu at the bottom of that, effectively, of the three of them, the worst player. And it was his justification was that he'd never seen Mainu play. And it's first of all, should you be on a show talking about football if you've never seen Kobbie Mainu play? Because it's not like the Wolves game was his first ever game. He's played a fair amount of games. And the thing I don't really understand is why Chris MD would choose to go on there. Because he got a hell of a lot of backlash for that. And he's not really getting anything out of it. If I went on there, it would be selfish. If I was to go on there, if I was asked to go on there, I would say yes. And it would be for the general kind of advantage of being exposed to a bigger audience on Sky. I don't think Chris MD needs that. And he probably doesn't need the backlash that he got from it. Each to their own. There's no way my boy Rory streaming daily again. We missed you. Arjun, we are back. And we are back for good. Van der Ven or Gabriel? Gabriel for me. At the moment, Gabriel for me. I think he's a better all-round defender. I mean, God, if you could give Gabriel Van der Ven's pace, you'd have the best centre-back on the planet. Van der Ven's pace is unbelievable, and it is a massive asset to have in your defence, is to have someone as quick as Van der Ven. I mean, Saliba is rapid, but Van der Ven is even quicker. which is really impressive. What happens to Arteta if we finish third and get knocked out by Porto? I think he still stays. It would be tough. And there would be, there would be some backlash in the fan base. But I look at games like that game against Liverpool. For me, the two standout games this season are Liverpool and City at home in the Premier League, where we've reduced them both to a shot on target. That's so impressive. It's so impressive, and it sets us up so well for the future. Like, for me, those games have actually got me really excited for the Champions League, because it's that sort of top tier opposition that we're going to come up against in the Champions League, and we've shown that actually Arteta can set us up really well for that, which is good. Why didn't Gabriel get the assist in the Martinelli goal? I don't know, actually. I guess because it came off Van Dijk and Alisson, I guess. I'm not really sure. You could tell throughout the whole show he was nowhere near the level of Paul Mashin or other guests they normally have in terms of analysing players and football. Yeah, but the thing is, there is a difference between a Chris MD who probably just watches every Arsenal game and those of us that make football content. And I'll sit down and I'll make sure I see the extended highlights of basically every Premier League game, and I'll watch every game that's on TV every weekend and every midweek. And so there is people like me don't have great knowledge, but there's still a level that I do think you have to be able to go on a show and talk competently about it. Because if you only watch your team play, most of the people that are watching Saturday Social are going to be more clued up than you, and that's a big problem. Did you see the news about Timber being in the UCL squad for the knockout games? I did. I think so. I think people have got a bit not carried away at all, but just because he's in the squad doesn't mean he's going to be fit to play against Porto, for example, right? There was enough room in that squad because of Lino Souza was in the... So for the first half of the season, for the group stages, Lino Souza was in the A-list for that squad. Obviously, he's moved to Aston Villa. There's no one else that could go in the squad. So we've put Timber in there, and hopefully we'll go far enough in the Champions League that Timber will get to play in the Champions League this season, which would be massive. Did you know your tweet made it onto the Arsenal YouTube video? I did. That was... Do you know what? I've met some people I never thought I'd met through doing content, and I was in KSI's box at Arsenal, which was crazy and stuff like that. But when I was watching that Arsenal video earlier and my tweet popped up, I don't know why, but I was just like, it was one of those moments where I was just like, that's so crazy. It's literally my club doing that. It was crazy. Maybe Timber will make it back when we get to the final. He should be back, but if we got to the final, he should be back before then. He should honestly be back before then if we make it to the final. I think we're probably targeting April, early April. So we'll see. I'm good, thank you, JP. I hope you are too. Zubamendi or Douglas Luiz, if you had to pick one to play for us. Ooh, I would pick Douglas Luiz. I'd pick Douglas Luiz for a couple of reasons. Firstly, Premier League proven, which I know some people don't believe in the whole Premier League proven thing, but I'd rather have it than not have it, if that makes sense. If you're giving me the option, I'd rather have someone who is proven in the Premier League. Doesn't guarantee that they're going to do well. You see lots of Premier League players have made a move and it not work out well. Although often it does begin to click eventually. I think Richarlison's a great example of that. So on that basis, yeah, I think I'd take Douglas Luiz. I really like Zubamendi, though. I'd be happy with either of them. I think what we really need is a Douglas Luiz / Zubamendi, and then a more physical six, like a Palinha. But I only think we can get one of them this summer, if we're going to go out and get a proper striker as well. Arsenal media have stepped it up a gear. Content's got much better this season. Yeah, it has. But they needed to step it up, to be fair. They did need to step it up. They were a bit behind some of the other clubs. Where do you think Mikel ranks in terms of best managers in the league? Personally, he's in the bracket just below Pep and Klopp, alongside Emery. I actually think he's above Emery. I think he's above it. I think he is just... In fact, look. I think Pep is in a league of his own. I think right now, in terms of pure ability to manage a squad, here and now, I think he's on a similar level to Klopp. He's not achieved what Klopp's achieved. He's got a long way to go, but he's kind of outdone Klopp this season. He's not lost to Klopp in the league in over 2 years. The last time he lost to Klopp in the league, we had Cedric starting at right back, we had Lacazette starting. I think he's, and again, I have to stress, he's not on Klopp's level in terms of legacy or anything like that. But in terms of being able to get the best out of a squad and win games, I think he's right up there now. Where have I been? I was just I was moving flat, and I knew I was going to move flat, and I was going to change the setup, and I was super busy as well. So yeah, a lot's been going on, but we are now officially back for good. What's your opinion on the ballot system? Think Sunday showed it hasn't affected the atmosphere? Look, for me, I don't particularly like the ballot system from a personal perspective because it's made it harder for me to get tickets. I was good at getting to the front of the queue in the old system with the way they used to go on sale. But, and I've only won 2 ballots all season, right? And me and my girlfriend both have memberships and both enter every ballot. So we've entered, I don't know, between us like 30 ballots and won twice, right? So it's not great. But it hasn't affected the atmosphere. People that think the ballot system is what's causing or has caused the atmosphere not to be as good this season are just wrong. They are wrong. And I say that as someone who went to every game last season, has been to every game this season. The issue is a culmination of things, right? It's a bunch of things. One is the Ashburton Army no longer having anywhere near the same allocation that they had. That's a problem. 2, it's expectations have risen. And games last season where, every single game last season, we were like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. We're in a title race. Get behind the team. Whereas there have been a lot of games this season where people turn up expecting to win. And if we're not winning within the first half an hour, people start to get, every time there's a misplaced pass, and that's an issue. And that's not ballot winners. In fact, actually, and it's not the ballot, right? Realistically, what it is people pin it on tourists. That's what people's argument is. Tourists are the reason for the bad atmosphere. A lot of the tourists that I see are not bad for the atmosphere. They're loud, they're excited, they're cheering everything. And it's a lot of the older season ticket members, honestly, that I find are less good for the atmosphere. It's usually older season ticket members that turn up late, that leave 5 minutes before halftime to get a drink, come back 5 minutes after halftime, don't chant, don't sing. That's what I find more often than not. So I think there's a bunch of things, and every team goes through it. I also think the way that a lot of our games have gone this season in terms of teams playing crazy low blocks and it being at times quite boring with us trying to find a way through that block, I think that affects it as well. So there's a lot of things, but I mean, the ballot gives out about 3,000 tickets. It's barely any of the seats are actually allocated through the ballot. The rest of the stadium is season ticket holders and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's I think people unfairly put it on the ballot. Unrelated to us, but does Poch survive the season? Yeah, I think he does, but I think he survives the season, but not because Chelsea want him to, but because they can't get rid of him. Yeah, I saw a thing yesterday in Mail Sport saying that he's got flipping. They can't pay him off. If they pay him off, he's got his contract there's such a big payout if they sack him, which is understandable from his perspective, given that they had just sacked Tuchel and then Potter, that they can't afford it. And if they can't afford it, they're not going to do it, especially if they want to go out this summer and spend big money on players again. So I think he survives, but only because of that. I had a tourist from New York sat next to me on Sunday, didn't film one thing on his phone, sung every song and enjoyed every minute. Exactly. And I think, yeah, I don't like it when people try and blame tourists. Don't get me wrong, right? There are some tourists that turn up and do all the touristy things and don't know what's going on and whatever. But again, you're talking about a handful of people relative to the whole crowd that do that. Do you ever sit clock end up a tier, but in the opposite corner to the screen? Probably. The thing is, I take tickets wherever I can get them, right? So I literally sit all over the stadium, whether I get the ticket through the ballot or through the ticket exchange or through other season ticket holders that offer me their ticket if they can't go. Like I sit everywhere. I was in upper section N against Liverpool and the atmosphere was unbelievable. There was lots of ballot winners there. Yeah, exactly. I was in upper tier M. So I was just over from you and it was a great atmosphere. So, yeah. Again, if you're watching on TikTok, massively appreciate you. You can come onto the YouTube stream through the link in my bio. Get involved in the chat there. Thoughts on the future of the likes of Nketiah, Smith Rowe, and Reece? I think they've all got different futures. I think Nketiah goes this summer. You know, if you look at it, we're not using him much anymore. Gabriel Jesus didn't play at the weekend, and Nketiah was a late on sub. So I think Nketiah goes. I think Smith Rowe stays. I think Smith Rowe is still a long-term part of the squad. And I think Reece Nelson stays for one more season. Because I think this summer, the priorities are midfielder, striker, at least. And I don't think we'll go for a winger. And so I think we keep Reece Nelson for another season and then he goes. Because the priority probably next summer would be a winger. But we'll see. Realistically, how long do you think Mikel stays at Arsenal for? It's a tricky one, right? I feel like he wants to win everything at the club. I feel like he will want to win at least a Premier League and a Champions League at the club. And he'll stay until he does that if we don't get rid of him. If he doesn't, I don't know. I mean, how long do you give him, I guess? I'd give him at least another 3 years to win the Champions League. I think there's a big opportunity coming up, right? I think there's a big opportunity coming up where Liverpool have a bit of a reset without Klopp, without a lot of their senior staff, with players like Van Dijk and Salah kind of aging out of that squad. City will have a bit of a reset when they lose Guardiola. And that, I think there will be a window of opportunity, definitely, for Arsenal to win the league when that happens. What's your patience like on the exchange? Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. I spend hours on the exchange. Yeah. Trust me, for a red member to have made it to every single game last season and this season, I've spent a lot of time on the exchange. It's rough. It is rough. Prediction for the West Ham game? 4-0. 4-0. Do you know what? I think we've got a massive point to prove against West Ham this season. They beat us at home. They beat us in the Carabao Cup. I think there's a big point to prove. You should start a podcast. Yeah, I do want to start a podcast at some point. Car Crashes said, "Is this your full-time job?" It's not, but it's getting closer to it. I'm working normal jobs less and less, which is good. Do you just sit there all day with something to watch in the background? No, not really. Yeah, actually, in the evening. Normally, I'll sit down in the evening and I'll just start doing it with whatever's on TV or whatever. Normally football, to be fair, on TV. Arsenal podcast with Papa Pincus. I do. I would like to do something with Matt. I would like to do something with Matt. He's smashing it, honestly. I mean, I saw him. I saw Matt. When did I see Matt? I played in a charity match with him. Maybe at like the end of the summer of the end of last summer. So we're talking like 5 or 6 months ago. And he was just approaching 50K on TikTok. And now he's at like nearly 300K. He's absolutely smashed it. Do you have someone on the back of your shirt? No, I don't have anyone on the back of my shirt. Would you ever offer a male friend relief? I assume that's a Tom Garrett reference. No. Personally, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that. But I have no issues with people that do. Do you ever think you'll complete the 9 in 9 trophies? I will complete the 9 in 9 trophies. What's your opinion on Bergvall to Spurs? Don't know much about him. I'll be honest. Because he was never linked to Arsenal or anything, I just don't know much about him. I know he was linked to Barca, but yeah, I don't know much about him. What's your job? So I just work I work freelance doing marketing, like social media influencer, general marketing for people. which is pretty good. Before that, I had a full-time job in marketing. Do you think Tommy will be back for the West Ham game? He is. Tomiyasu is back for the West Ham game. And that's really big for us. Do you know what's massive, right? Ben White has looked so much sharper since the Dubai trip. And I honestly do think he was definitely carrying some sort of injury that I think was more of a small injury that just could never heal because he constantly had to play. But he's looked so much better post Dubai. And it's just going to be big for us to be able to play Tomiyasu and give Ben White a rest when he needs it. Obviously, Zinchenko's now out again with a calf issue again for however long. I was impressed with Kivior in the second half against Liverpool, which is good. I think we need Kivior to be able to play fairly regularly. But having all of them back once Timber's back is going to be massive for us. Massive for us. Ben White was playing with shades of Dani Alves the other day. The good shades of Dani Alves, not the prison-bound shades of Dani Alves. But yeah, starting back line when everyone's back. White, Saliba, Gabriel, and Timber. For me, Raya, White, Saliba, Gabriel, Timber. That is unbelievable. And I am very, very excited to see it. Can I get a hi, Albie, please? It would make my day. Hi, Albie. There you go. Rory, long time no speak. Ibrahim, it is good to see you back. It is good to see you back. How do you control all three of your TikTok accounts? Is it just logging in and out of different accounts, or is it on different phones? Yeah, it's all on the same phone. You done any away days this season? No. I would love to start doing away days. It's so difficult to get a ticket. It's so difficult to get a ticket. Like, I can get a ticket for a home game just with patience. Like, I know if I spend enough time, I'll get a home ticket. Away tickets are just a different. It's a different ball game. It is a different ball game. Raya's looked good the last few weeks. Those quick releases are a real weapon. Yeah, he's beginning to look a lot more comfortable. You know, I do think the goal was. Some people think that's completely on Saliba. I think Raya has a part in that. I think there comes a point. The dog's on her way. I think there comes a point, right, where you're the goalkeeper. It's your responsibility. As soon as it comes within reaching distance and Saliba hasn't cleared it, you've got to dive on it. You've got to ignore whatever Saliba's doing and just be like, this is my responsibility now. So I do think that there was an element of maybe it's lack of confidence, lack of conviction. But outside of that, I think for me, it's 65 Saliba, 35 Raya. Yeah. I agree. It's something like that, which, you know, it happens. It happens. But outside of that, I thought it was one of his best games for Arsenal so far. I thought it really was. T. Fisher, now, lad, where have you been? I've been away. I've been working, hustling, but we are back. And we're back for good. 6:30 every evening, apart from Fridays. How do you get away tickets? So basically the way away tickets work is season ticket holders, I think, get priority access, but then it goes to people. Basically, you accumulate points. You accumulate away points by going to away games, and there will be whatever the number of points is that's the maximum number of points you can have so far. And so they're the first people that get access to the tickets, and then basically, it drops down points by points until they sell out. The issue is, to get away points, you have to get an away ticket. But to get an away ticket, you have to have the away points, which you can't get because you can't get an away ticket. And it's just a bad system where you've got to hope that you can maybe somehow get a ticket to Burnley away or something like that, which is tough. So it reminds me of kind of when you start going into full-time work, looking for full-time jobs, and there's entry-level jobs, but you need 3 years of experience. And it's like, well, I can't get the experience to apply for the job without getting the job, but I can't get the job because I haven't got the experience. It's like these never-ending circles of pain. When is Guess the Gooner? Guess the Gooner is coming up imminently. Where do you rank Ben White in the English right back pecking order? I don't think he'll ever play for England again until Gareth Southgate leaves. That's the first thing. I'd put him third. I would put I'd put Trent at 1, Kyle Walker at 2, Ben White at 3. Obviously, a fit Reece James, different story, but he's never fit, so it's pointless. Raya or Ramsdale? Thoughts on Ramsdale's future? Well, it's interesting, right? I'm kind of happy with Raya now. Like, I think the way it was handled with Ramsdale, I didn't massively appreciate. Better than Trippier? Yeah, I think Trippier is struggling now. I think age is just about beginning to catch up with Trippier, unfortunately. With Ramsdale, yeah, I didn't like the way it was handled particularly. I don't mind where we're at now. I don't mind Raya being the number 1. I can see what he offers that Ramsdale can't quite do. What happens with Ramsdale next? I don't know, because the club seem fairly adamant that they're keeping him. The club seem fairly adamant that, I keep seeing things that Ramsdale's part of their long-term plans. Unless the club is going to somehow persuade Aaron Ramsdale to be a second-choice keeper, which I can't imagine he would accept. I don't really understand how that works. So it wouldn't surprise me if we sold him in the summer, we bring in someone else, we make a profit, we use that profit to sign whoever else, outfield players. But it's an interesting one. Where do you think Chelsea finish? 11th. 11th. I think they're in big trouble. Would you like Evan Ferguson to sign for us? I don't know. Ferguson's stats this season have not been good. Like, without just being a stat merchant, he has struggled this season. He has struggled this season. Name a car for an edit. Name a car. Alfa Romeo. Get a nice Alfa Romeo on there. Fabrizio said we're in talks with Kozia Dubry. Do you think he has a way into the team? I don't know. Kozia Dubry, I like him. Feel like he'd already have been given a bit of a chance by now if it was going to work, but he hasn't been. Where have you been? And guess the Gooner. I've been busy. I've been hustling, but we are now back. Like I said, 6:30 every day, apart from Fridays. I will be back. But it is time. Oh no, wait. How long? 9 and 9 trophies. Honestly, don't know. Rumor is your commute to the Emirates is epic, 150 odd miles. My commute to the Emirates is just jumping on the tube. My commute to the Emirates is what's your match day routine at the Emirates? Depends on the game. Because depending on when the game is, if I have to make content before I do it, then that kind of scuppers it. But normally, head to Highbury in Islington, stop off somewhere for a couple of drinks, get to the stadium, make a bit of content. Job's a good one. Would love to see Jorginho play more. Why do we need Kai there or Smith Rowe? I agree. I think Jorginho's been brilliant in the big games. I don't know. Arteta doesn't seem to like him there in the games where we're going to dominate a lot of the ball. I actually think he can do it. I think he can do it. I think he can do it. But I also, apparently he's been basically struggling with an injury all season, which he can't get rid of. So he's played through it. Like, he was playing through it against Liverpool and he was fine, but it has been a bit of a problem. Something to do with his foot, apparently. Anyway, it is time for Guess the Gooner, the game where I give you an ex or current Arsenal players. Well, it's changed. It used to be I'd give you an ex or current Arsenal player's career path minus the Arsenal part of it, and you had to guess who it was. However, we basically rinsed through 90% of modern day Arsenal players. So now it's changed. Now I will give you an ex or current Arsenal player. I will give you 5 clues about that player, and you have to guess who it is. So you will get 5 clues, and you have to guess who it is. First person to get it correct in the chat is a legend, is a proper Gooner. So get your fingers on your keyboards. Clue 1 is coming your way. And clue 1 is this. This player made their first senior appearance at Real Betis. They made their first senior appearance at Real Betis. How did you weasel your way onto the Arsenal YouTube video? I don't know. I was surprised as you were to see my tweet on there. Clue number 2. They have 77 appearances for Arsenal. They have 77 appearances for Arsenal. Clue number 3. They have 1 goal in 13 appearances for Spain. So far you've got they had their first senior appearance was at Real Betis. They've had 77 appearances for Arsenal. 1 goal in 13 games for Spain. They spent 2 years on loan at Arsenal. They were signed by Emery and kept by Mikel Arteta. Lots of people have got it. Lots of people have got it. And clue number 5. Right, I found who got it first. Clue number 5. He eats paella and he drinks Estrella. It is indeed Dani Ceballos. It is Dani Ceballos. Dani Ceballos. Dani Ceballos. I didn't realize he played 77 times for Arsenal. That actually surprised me. But he was signed by Emery, stayed on loan for 2 seasons, renewed by Mikel Arteta. Lots of people were saying Nacho Monreal. There were a few shouts for Bellerin, but it was indeed Dani Ceballos. It was Dani Ceballos. Congratulations to SS9. SS9 won it. Who came second? SS9 won it. Aidan Meldrum came second. Brexit Outcast podcast came third. George Christodoulou came fourth. And Devin came fifth. VV Vlad came sixth. VV Vlad was the GOAT of Guess the Gooner, but he came sixth. Anyway, now it is time for Guess the Non-Gooner. This is where I give you, this is the traditional Guess the Non-Gooner. I'll give you a player's career path, and you have to guess who it is first. So this player started in the Sunderland Academy. They went on loan to Darlington. They went on loan to Alfreton. They went on loan to Burton Albion. They went on loan to Carlisle United. They went on loan to Bradford. They went on loan to Preston. And they went to Everton on a permanent deal. So started at Sunderland Academy, Darlington on loan, Alfreton on loan, Burton on loan, Carlisle on loan, Bradford on loan, Preston on loan, and then full-time to Everton. Who is the player? Lots of people have got it on TikTok. Lots of people have got it on YouTube. Who got it first? It's not Jordan Henderson, and it's Jake Maddiford. Jake Maddiford is back with a bang. It is Jordan T-Rex Arms Pickford. Lots of people were saying Henderson. SS9 came second. George Christodoulou came third. MM came fourth. And Thomas Willis came fifth. So there you go. If you were watching that on TikTok and you want to get involved, get through to the YouTube channel. The link to that is in my bio. Subscribe to the YouTube channel whilst you're there as well if you fancy it. That would be much appreciated. That is insane. No, it wasn't a Abue. It was not a Abue. So there you go. It was T-Rex Arms. So I dropped off to watch the new Arsenal official video. Have you seen the beginning? Yeah, I watched the new Arsenal video. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. And my tweet features in it, which is insane. So happy days. Happy days. Can you do football tic-tac-toe? Yeah, but I would have to... how would I do a football tic-tac-toe? I'd have to create it, right? I'll see what I can do. I do bloody love a football tic-tac-toe. I do love a... What's the new Arsenal video? It's just the... it's the bench cam extended cut. So it's like a 10-minute video, basically, of the bench cam. But yeah, about 2 minutes and 14 seconds or something into the video, it pops up one of my tweets, which is crazy. Absolutely crazy. I am back live, Tom. I am back live. We will be here every night, 6:30 p.m, talking about everything Arsenal. Now, we'll talk about everything Arsenal, but obviously during the week, when there's no transfer window or anything, there's lots of stuff to talk about in general, so it won't just be Arsenal stuff. 3 realistic signings in the summer. 3 realistic signings in the summer. Zubimendi, definitely. We're going to get a striker, right? So let's nail down who I think is the striker that we probably get. Osimhen. I genuinely think we might get Osimhen. I think we might absolutely go with it. Go for it. Thoughts on the Timber news? What Timber news? What Timber news? Assuming you do you just mean the fact that he's in the Champions League squad? When are those later streams coming? Really soon, hopefully. I just need to set a couple of things up. Hopefully later this week. I'll be streaming. I'll be streaming gaming from like 10 until midnight, roughly. Zubamendi, Osimhen. The dog's having a nightmare. The dog's having an actual nightmare. This is so sad. She's in her teepee and she's having a nightmare. That's very sad. That's very sad. I'm going to wake her from her nightmare. It's okay. It's okay. Okay. She has awakened. Zubamendi, Osimhen, Frimpong from Bayer Leverkusen. There you go. I mean, if we did all three of them, that would be an absolute madness, it has to be said. We're going to play Guess the Gooner. Tom, you've literally just missed Guess the Gooner. You must have arrived as it ended. When Rambo goes, my word, that'll be one tearful day for me. Not sure I've ever felt more connected to a player. Yeah, it's going to be tough. When Ramsdale leaves, like, it will be tough. Especially because he's going to go to a Premier League club. There's no way he goes to a foreign club. And just, watching his antics for a different club is going to be sad. But does Rambo go in the summer and we buy a new backup? The dog is going mental. Yeah. I don't know who that backup would be, but yeah, I think Ramsdale goes. I can't see him staying. It's sad, but it is what it is. You can't keep everyone, You can't keep everyone. Rambo berating the ref for wasting time was hilarious. It was funny. That's the thing, man. I love him. Who was it? It was Danny Ceballos, Tom. It was Danny Ceballos. I would love Ramsdale at Fulham, but Leno is class. I mean, Ramsdale is an upgrade on Leno. That would be crazy if we just keep farming off our goalkeepers to Fulham. How much do you think we have to spend in the summer? I reckon about 200 million plus sales. I think we've got a lot to spend in the summer. I reckon about 200 million plus sales, which would be massive for us if we can do it. Massive for us. Anyway, that is going to be the end of the live stream. It's been joyful to be back doing it. And for so many of you to be back here as well is mad. And I really do appreciate it massively. And like I said, subscribe. We're going to be here every evening, 6:30, apart from Fridays. And watch-alongs are going to be coming back for the away games as well. It's just good times. It's good times. And I will let you know once I've sorted everything out for 10 p.m. streams, playing video games, chatting, chilling, enjoying life. But until then, I hope you have a wonderful evening. I'll be back at 6:30 tomorrow. Thank you for coming, and goodbye.